welcome to another video on the channel. This is going to be a little overview of my Discovery 3 2005 after a year of ownership. What I've endured, what I've done, would I still recommend it, and such like. So just start off the video. Hopefully the sound quality is a little bit better. I've got an auxiliary microphone plugged in now. Not the best quality thing, but hopefully it's going to be a lot better than the horrendous sound of the GoPro. Might make some of the videos a bit more watchable. So yeah, starting with the reliability and everything. The truck has just passed its MOT, the first one of my ownership. I got it about a week after it passed its MOT last year. A bit nervous going into the MOT. It's the first, I'm 99% sure the previous MOT was not legitimate. When I got the car, as I say, a week after the last MOT, it had blowing exhaust flexi, massively restricted performance, horrendous play in the bushes, and several other things that I'm pretty sure would not have passed an MOT, and it passed last time with no advisories, so very suspicious. But anyway, it's always slightly nervous, almost essentially sticking a car for its MOT, having not had a proper MOT for quite some time. But it was a legitimate MOT this time, I made sure of that, and it passed. Only advisories on the bushes on the rear lower arms, but I inspected those when I did the rest of the work, and they're not that bad. You know, I probably will replace them, just because it's nice to have, nice to get it done. As for reliability wise over the year, on the whole it's been very good. Did have one slight hiccup driving along, and battery light came on, so pulled over, turned it off. I assumed it was going to be snapped aux belt or something like that. Plugged my scanner in before I turned it off. Actually plugged my scanner in, saw it was only reading about 12.5 volts. So I was like, right, well, the alternator's obviously not charging, so turned it off, opened the bonnet to have a look, see if the alternator belt snapped or something. It hadn't, the alternator belt was fine. Went to turn it back on, click, 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 wouldn't turn on. So, managed to get recovered, well, had a recovery company come out, try and jump start, wouldn't jump start. Ended up having to tow start it in the lay-by, which was a little bit sketchy, not gonna lie, and drove it home with the tow company following me, and then did a load of digging online and stuff. Alternators are known to fail on them. When they do fail, they short the ground, so that was my first port of call. 150 quid on a new alternator. Decided to get a Bosch one. Everyone recommends Denso ones. They're very expensive, and I have far more faith in Bosch products, so decided to go for Bosch. Fitted that, still no joy, still click, click, click. Everyone online telling me it's the alternator because you didn't buy a Denso one, it's the alternator, your alternator's naff. Anyway, a bit more digging, checked the starter motor, and it had a cheap Lucas starter motor on it, been fitted a couple of years ago presumably. So like, right, it's going to be the starter motor, you know, it's obviously no good. So bought a Denso starter motor because Bosch ones aren't available. Another 200 quid, and fitted that. Unfortunately, still click, click, click. Upon ignoring everything that everyone said online, doing a load of digging, which I should have done to begin with, and gone through a logical procedure of fault finding rather than just listening to people on Facebook pages and forums. Is found blown mega fuse. So I was like, right, okay, so what's caused that to blow? Then through process of elimination and testing ground continuity and stuff with the live wire, disconnected the starter and disconnected the alternator, still had continuity to ground. Turned out the positive wire had chafed through on the front diff. It runs right in front of the front diff, and from what I could tell, nothing looked like it had come undone. No clips, all the clips holding on were all still fine. Looks like it basically just rests up against the front of the diff and is in a plastic protective sheathing. Obviously, as the diff gets a little bit hot and things move around over time, it just chafes through. It chafes through and shorts out the thing. Luckily, the 400 amp mega fuse had blown, stopping it properly melting. I would imagine that's probably one of the source of the many fires you see in these. It's not ideal, not a very good design there by Landover, but no real surprise there. Anyway, managed to repair the wire, £2 for a new mega fuse, fitted it, started first time. So slightly unnecessarily got a brand new alternator and brand new starter motor, but I sort of decided that's probably not a bad thing anyway. So that was good, and did all the aux belt and everything at the same time, just was good. Other than that, it's been absolutely golden. That's not to say I haven't done work on it. I've done plenty of work on it, but that's all been stuff that I knew when I bought it needed doing, and stuff for the MOT, and just other stuff. Whilst you're there, you might as well do this sort of thing. So, list of things I've done in the last couple of months. Start with front. So, did front inner and outer track rods, ends and new track rods and gaiters, both sides. Front wheel bearings, they were knackered. Front discs and pads, they were also knackered. New caliper carriers because they were seized. New low steering column, because that was what was causing the terrible play in the steering. Universal joint on the column, that was fairly easy to replace. The new front airbags, fit a pair of Dunlop airbags on it. That's probably it for the rear. I've done a set of all 4 genuine height sensors all round. More as a bit of preventative maintenance really. I was still having this problem with the rear left height sensor, but I'll go into that a bit more in a minute. Rear, I've done rear top arms, all new hardware as well for that. Rear top upright bushes, new discs and pads on the rear, and new handbrake shoes and adjusters and all that lot. I think that's probably it. There's probably something I've missed, I'm sure, but there's definitely a large pile of scrap metal, rusty metal that is sat on my drive, stuff I've taken off. It's all been replaced with nice shiny new stuff, and I can say it has completely transformed the truck. It drives so much better now, it's so much nicer to drive. Still got to get 4-wheel alignment on it. I've done it, just done it as best I can myself. Dunlop gauges and stuff, but Dunlop gauges nowhere near accurate enough to do setup on these. So I'm going to get it laser aligned when I can find 5 minutes. But having the advising the MOTs is the rear lower arm bushes, so tempted to do the rear lower arms before I get it four-wheel aligned, because I don't want to have to align it twice basically. Then that's that job done. But we're now basically in winter, can't really be bothered to crawl around under the car in the miserable rain and cold, so I might just leave that until next year. We'll see. So I touched a little bit on the problem I was having in the last videos since I bought the car was rear left height sensor throwing up a general electric error, sensor voltage out of range, loads of fault finding and stuff with the gap ID tool. Again, as I said in the first video, really useful tool, painfully expensive, but well worth its money. I've used it so many times, and it can do so much. I would definitely recommend it, even though it is very expensive. Yeah, replaced all the sensors, as I said. Still having problems with the sensor, and turns out there's a rear, there's like two connector blocks behind the rear left wheel. These were absolutely caked in mud and dirty, and a bit of water ingress inside and stuff. So I gave them all a really good clean out, coated them all in WD-40 and put it all back together, and just tried to give it the best chance possible really. And straight away all the suspension calibrated up nicely, and about a week into it now, and it seems, touch wood, to be absolutely fine. So fingers crossed that was the problem with that. Again, essentially would have been another nice easy free fix, but putting new height sensors on is not a bad thing. It's a bit of preventative maintenance, you know. It's they do go out of calibration over time as they get resistance in them, and I sort of noticed when calibrating some of the sensors were showing a bit of difference across the heights and stuff. So putting a fresh set on is never a bad thing, and not very expensive for genuine ones either. So that was well worth doing, and you know, a very easy job, 5 minutes a corner, not particularly hard. The hardest thing with doing everything I've done on this, all the work I've done on this, the hardest thing has always been not access, not availability of parts or anything like that. It's always been rusted bolts. They are the thing that makes the jobs 10 times harder. I'd probably say nothing on it has been particularly hard. It's just a case of you have to try and come up with a solution to remove rusted and seized bolts, which a lot of the time is quite challenging. Rear arms being a good example. The very inner bolts were completely seized in the top arm, in the main part through the bush. So I had to basically get in there, cut them into several little bits to try and get them out, to then put the new ones in. Fit the new ones in, dead easy. And once those bolts had come out, like, had I just been able to undo them with a spanner, which access is fine for doing that, they would have been, I don't know, probably an hour a corner. Not particularly difficult at all. However, it's the getting out the rusted bolts. Same with the steering column. Changing the steering column is probably a 15-minute job. Not difficult at all, but unfortunately the lower bolt had rusted and snapped. So I then got to try and drill that bolt out without damaging the steering rack, and you're in at funny angles, and it just makes life 10 times more difficult. But you know, it's half the course, isn't it? It's an old car. any old car of this age is going to have rusted bolts. And I guess one thing it does mean is a lot of this stuff has actually lasted. I think a lot of it is original. Certainly the airbags are original, 2005 airbags, 152,000 miles, and they were it's only the fronts, the rears are still on. The fronts were only just starting to show signs of leaking, and the main reason why I replaced them is because the rides had gone too soft, so the actual shock absorbers within them were pretty knackered. So that's all good. There's still some stuff I want to do to it, need to do to it. Another thing I did do, did an engine service on it and stuff, but replaced the front diff oil as well. Again, very easy job, but while the under tray's off and everything all under there. I've still got to do the rear diff oil and everything. So a couple of the jobs I've still got to do, still want to do. So I say rear diff oil need to do. Probably going to do gearbox and transfer box oil. I've got to replace the front air pipes to the airbags. Unfortunately, with removing the old airbags, the very ends of the pipes, the air lines that go into the top of bags, got damaged. This didn't show itself until it was all back together, and unfortunately the front airbags leak out of the joints. The front left worse than the front right, but they both do it ever so slightly. It's only, you're only talking, it goes down, I don't know, like 15 mil overnight or whatever. It's not drastic. So I got to drop the front airbags down, just replace those lines. Not a particularly difficult job, just finding time to do it really. I need to I want to have a look at the exhaust to do a lot of the work with rewiring the rear sensors and stuff. I had the rear silencers off, so it's got decat and a terra firma centre silencer delete, and then standard rear tailpipes with the silencers in them. Where the silencers are and where they go into the terra firma pipes, they're quite considerably smaller diameter, and they're inside. I think they're quite a big restriction, and certainly the silencers themselves are very heavy, as if they're quite heavily waterlogged, and you rattle them around and it sounds like a bag of nails, so I'm pretty sure they've collapsed inside. And when I was driving around with no rear silencers on, it definitely felt a lot more alive. Felt like it wanted to boost that a little bit quicker. Might all just be because it's that little bit noisier, it's in your head, it's telling you that it should be a bit quicker, but it definitely felt a bit more alive. I mean, they're never fast, but it just felt like it had a little bit more low down grunt, which I could do with. So gonna look at replacing the rear silencers, either with some aftermarket ones or just with straight pipes. I don't drive it every day, I maybe drive it once a week, so I don't do long journeys in it and stuff, so yeah, so noise doesn't really matter too much. So that's something I want to do. I don't want any of these horrible chrome aftermarket tailpipes or anything. I like the hidden exhaust, so if I do go straight pipe, it'll be something hidden. I want to fit some amber beacons and stuff to it, just again all subtle hidden stuff in the front grille and stuff. I'm not putting light bars on top or anything like that. I am a member of local 4x4 rescue group, so we go out and help assist where necessary in floods and things like that, so it's quite handy to have some amber beacons on. Quite nice to possibly upgrade the radio, but I'm not sure. There's nothing actually wrong with it. yeah, nothing actually wrong with it, but it'd be nice just to have Bluetooth and stuff. But that's fairly low on my priority list. What else? I think that's probably it for things I want to do. It's been a very, very good workhorse. Gets fairly well abused. Pulled a load of tree stumps out with it. That was massively impressive. Stuck in low range, just drove pretty effortlessly, just pulled them out of the ground. So that was a big result. One of the biggest things I like about it is the fact that the second row seats just folds completely flat at the back, so you end up with a really flat load area, which is great, and it basically makes it a van, which is massively helpful because certainly around here in Bedfordshire and that, you can't, well, they might change the rules again now after COVID and stuff, but you couldn't take a van to tip. So when it comes to getting rid of bulky items and garden waste and stuff like that, the van is just not feasible. Whereas this is, you know, internally the same sort of size as a sort of small to medium van, but you don't get any of the aggro of parking it or yeah, or not being able to take it to tip. So it's really, really useful. You can get really nice long things in here. Quite a few times now I've had 3 metre long lengths of timber in here. I've had 2.5 metre long worktops in here. I've had doors in here. You know, you can fit so much in here. And then you've still got the 7 seats. I don't use 7 seats regularly. I wouldn't call it regularly, but you know, I've probably I've probably used it 5 or 6 times, which in itself means it's worthwhile having them there. They're not intrusive at all in the back, you wouldn't even know they're there, so it's really handy, so easy to use, and they're big enough you can easily fit adults in. You know, there's lots of leg room. You even get cup holders. In the back. So yeah, and to sort of touch on the last point, would I still recommend it like I would in the first video? I think I probably would. You know, you've got to be prepared. You've got to be prepared to do the work yourself, I think. If you're not handy with spanners or not willing to learn to be handy with spanners, it's going to be a very expensive venture. I think probably to do all the suspension stuff, all the brake stuff that I did with this, all the fault finding of even things like the alternator, starter, all that lot, fault finding with all this air suspension, I think I probably would have easily dropped £5 grand on it in parts and labour. However, I'm probably only about 12, maybe £1,300 in parts on it. Not all of that necessary, you know, some of it is, say, more preventative maintenance than anything else. And you know, I've used it for a year, it's shown its worth and that, so I don't mind spending £1,000 on it. That's fine. So yeah, I think as long as I still stick to my guns that I probably wouldn't spend more than £5 grand on one. I'm not sure I would upgrade to a Discovery 4. I know they've got extra benefits, more power, more gizmos and stuff like that, but they're also a lot more expensive, and the biggest problem for me is the fact that all automatic. I would not have one of these in automatic. Just because of the type of car it is, you know, the auto boxes aren't, they're fine, you know, they're good for what they are and that, but they're not the most reliable things in the world, and it's just another thing to go wrong. So I think I'd stick with a manual. Yeah, don't know, we'll see. see what happens. I mean, I've still got in the back of my mind that the crank could snap on this at any point. There seems no rhyme or reason as to when or why, so that's always in the back of my mind. But I'm sort of the opinion that if that does happen, I think I would probably go to the effort of sticking another engine in it, or rebuild this engine with a new crank or whatever. I really like the idea of trying to put a 4.2 supercharged V8 in it. I'm not really interested in the diesel. I don't like diesels, but there's not really an option for this. So doing a 4.2 supercharged V8 manual, I think would be the ultimate one of these, I think. So never know. One day that might happen. Fingers crossed though, the engine's not break because I haven't really got time to do it, and I don't really want to do it at the moment. So yeah, I think I've probably covered everything. I've got an off-road day booked at Devil's Pit in a couple of weeks' time, so gonna do that. Nothing drastic. I don't plan on, trying to go up rock climbs or anything like that in it. I just want to have a bit of fun off-road, go through a few puddles, go up some muddy hills, and that's about it really. I'm not interested in trying to break it. I do use it on a semi-regular basis, so but now it's all fixed underneath, all the suspension work, so I want to actually see what it's capable of. I haven't had it off-road yet, which is a shame. So yeah, I'll probably do a bit of a video on that. And I don't know what order things will be released. Just done a video of the new, well I say new, it's not that new now, new Jag, replaced the Lexus. So I don't know if that will be, I'll probably try and put that up first and then do this second. And yeah, so if you liked the video, please like it. If you've got any suggestions of stuff you want to see, any info you want to know about the car, anything like that, I've got some, hopefully I'm going to try and do a bit more of a little mini series on the Mini probably over winter. Got end of this month, so in November now, end of this month, it's probably coming off the road, and I've got a supercharger for it, so going to be basically making my own supercharger kit essentially. So that should be quite interesting, and I'll try and film as much of that as I can. Other than that, probably do some more update videos and things as and when. But yeah, if you've got any comments of things you want to see, things you liked, things you didn't like, if you think I've ran it on too much, then let me know and I'll try and shorten the videos. Yeah, let me know what you think, and please don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much.